Okay, let's go. Hello and welcome, everyone. Today we are hosting Future Law webinars that are dedicated to featuring our speakers for the main event Future Law 2025 in May this year. Today we are welcoming Zbyszek Koneczny. He's a great IT expert following his 25 years experience of big law. He has been independent advisor, consultant, auditor, and legal tech enthusiast and speaker. He has helped many law firms to integrate IT systems, legal tech products, and actually helping to bridge the gap between lawyers and business. Please welcome Zbyszek. Big applause, and Zbyszek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Valentin. Yeah, that's about it. That sums up what I've been doing. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And I will talk today about IT audit in law firms and legal departments, a subject that I hope is interesting to you, although I will start with saying that it's not practiced by everyone because it takes time, it costs money, etc., etc. And also, just to start with, the word audit, at least in my country, and I think in all countries, may have a negative connotation. You know, when you hear the word audit from experience, you may think about fiscal tax audit. You know, the government tax people come to the office and bug you about, are looking for any mistake in, accounting and finances. So usually when people hear the word audit, they roll their eyes and they say, oh no, another one, they will sit in our office and bug us. So it's very true. Fiscal audits are very difficult. I undergone a lot of them in the company that I work for 25 years. But IT audit is something totally different. It's good. Yes, it probably costs some money. Yes, it takes time, but the benefits are very good. And actually, the external team, the IT auditors that are coming to your office, they are there to help you. And I intend to talk about it first in theory in general. Then I think we can break for any questions that you might have. And what I will show you in the next part is parts of the IT audit report. It is, of course, anonymized, no names whatsoever. And then there are details, actual technical details, security, user applications, all details. And I think the second part might be even more interesting to you because it was an actual audit done for a small-sized law firm here in Warsaw, Poland. So, you may relate to technical or usability details. Okay, so conducting an IT audit should be a regular routine. And I know, you may think now, oh no, we don't have time for it. Many people also, many IT managers say, oh, we do self-audits, like internal audits. And what I say to that, sure, yes, by all means, self-audits are good, but are they sufficient? No. It needs to be done externally. Somebody with experience, your trusted advisor, an expert, coming from outside and checking, usually not one person, it's usually, by the way, 2 or 3 people, depending on the size of the organization. And they are looking, at your IT operation from every angle. So they check your IT environment, your software, programs that you use, applications, your equipment, your laptops, your desktops, your servers, if you still have any, your routers, repeaters, everything. They also look at your door security, how your office is secured, because it all falls under this technical umbrella. They also look at your procedures. So, you may think, oh, yeah, no, do I need written procedures? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So what I mean, and I'm trying to relate to small law firms, mid and big law firms, but many people in smaller legal organization, whether it's a law firm or a legal department, they think, no, we are small, we don't need this, we don't, why should we need procedures? So I can tell you in 2 sentences why. For instance, the onboarding procedures. You get a new attorney. What do you do everything from memory? No, you need to have written procedures. He needs to get a Microsoft logon account, AD account. Then he needs to get a laptop. He needs to get rights to your PMS, DMS, and all the systems. So if you have it written down and structured, it goes much easier and much simpler, and it takes less resources on your side. IT auditor also will look at your IT support. Do you have IT people in your organization, or maybe you outsource if you're smaller? You have an external company who takes your calls and emails when you have issues with your computer systems. So they also look at that, whether that's sufficient, whether that's good. Of course, they look at the security. They look at your firewall, at your setup. They look at how often your users change their passwords. Is it every 6 months or every 2 months? I mean, there are rules. Also, what is the password complexity required? Does your organization require, small, big, alpha, numeric, special signs? So, all that has to be followed. Last but not least, that's not the main area, but that's touched on in every IT audit. They look at possible savings. What software could you introduce to save money? Or maybe you could make hardware, buy the same models of laptops, etc., etc. So that's the introduction. And the main document that's like a starting point. It is called pre-audit questionnaire. So what is the pre-audit questionnaire? It is an Excel spreadsheet that's fairly simple, that is prepared for the possible client, and what information is there, like your name of the law firm, address, how many people work there, what computers they use, what operating system, what applications, what security systems. I mean, there are lots of questions there. And the law firm or legal department representative, it can be a lawyer, it can be an IT person. Usually it's an IT person who fills this out, talking about it with a partner or whoever. So they work on this during preparing this pre-audit questionnaire. They may have questions. So they pick up the phone, they call the IT expert, and they ask, oh, I don't know what to write there. So the person is helping them. And when the future auditor, the IT expert, gets this questionnaire, he can suggest an audit time. That, for instance, oh yeah, we can do this next month from this date till that date. It will take a week or 2 weeks. And they also suggest an approximate cost. It will cost that amount of euros or zlotys. And then the possible client, analyzes it and they say yes or no. Hopefully they say yes, they send the formal approval, and then the trusted advisor, the IT expert, begins the IT audit. And my slide says singular, but like I said before, it's usually 2 people. It's like policemen, they drive their patrol cars in 2s. So it's the same, you can remember that picture, at least 2 people. And how does the actual work then look? So usually the auditors insist on one office visit, the physical visit to the premises. I mean, and if it's a large firm, they usually suggest it's the main office, like, the New York or the Warsaw or the Tallinn. Because they have to look at the meet you face to face. Yes, the human factor is important, even in the AI age. We have to meet physically, look ourselves in the eye, and talk about things. So then this visit usually takes a few hours because there are lots and lots of questions. During this visit, the main IT auditor asks to be introduced to their IT system. They do not ask for any passwords. I mean, if you see an IT expert asking for a password, he's a bad one. They should never. So there is a there's an instinct with IT people, and I think Marek and other people will smile now that if when somebody types up the password, you automatically put your head in the other direction. We cannot know any password. So, but we need to see Active Directory, all those things to check against security and other requirements. So this is a long meeting. A lot of questions are asked. And then once this is gathered, the trusted advisors, they begin working on the end product. And the end product is the most valuable thing. It's the thing that you pay for, that you get, you read it, you refer to it. It's called IT audit report. And it's a thorough analysis of your whole IT environment. So it's not only suggestions of proposed changes, like I say in the slide, critical, important, and suggested. It's also analysis and description of your IT environment. What's good with this, what's bad, and what should be improved. And like it says, there are three kinds of changes. Critical, like you have ports on your firewall open that hackers can get through, and your remote access software has holes like Swiss cheese, and you should patch it up. So things that should be done fairly quickly. Then important ones that yes, they should be changed too, but perhaps you have 2 months to change them. And then there is a third kind, which is called nice to have, nice to do, and those are the suggested changes. So, there's no slide about that, but a lot of work goes into preparing this report. The 2 or 3 auditors, they put their heads together, they sit, they analyze, they Google, they wonder, what could be the best solutions and suggestions, and then they look for vulnerabilities for what is wrong. And then after this important, priceless end product IT audit report is ready, the client gets it. He gets it, he reads it, he may be a little upset because I'll be honest, usually a lot of things are found. And he or she, more things that are found, the better, because then there is an opportunity to make it better. So after they read it, they agree on a time to meet online, usually, or physically if it's close by. And then there is a meeting that, I'll be honest with you, is often a little hot, because on this meeting there is usually the IT manager who may feel responsible for the things that were found, and sometimes they take it personally. They shouldn't, but it's the human nature. We are humans. So sometimes this meeting is hot. The IT person, the IT manager, tries to defend their position, which is totally unnecessary, because the IT auditors, they work on his side, or her side, but that's the human nature. So they discuss the findings and also the suggestions, and then after it gets a little cooler, they look at things that could be done. What the client does about it, it's totally up to them, but it's within his or her interest to do it all, because that improves security and everything else. So then it gets to productive steps. What could we do to improve it? What are the most urgent things to correct? And then the cooperation begins. And what is, if you ask, you join this webinar, you're wondering, okay, what's the big deal? What is the benefit? It's the big boost. Your IT environment gets a big boost. because if you implement those changes, your IT environment gets safer, more efficient. Why more efficient? Perhaps the suggestion is to introduce a document management system, practice management system that will automate perhaps AI. Yeah, everybody talks about AI, and I can't not talk about AI, but I will not bore you today with this. You probably read and join webinars very often about it. All outdated applications are replaced by new solutions. That's very important. The IT world, it goes crazily fast onward. If you have applications that were developed 10 or 15 years ago, check the competition, check to see whether you could have possibly much cheaper applications that would have automation, AI, and other things that would make your attorneys work quicker and faster, thus saving you. Yeah, and it saves you money. It saves you time, and what saves, and they can devote their time to serve the clients, which is their job, not do mundane manual things. And your law firm or legal department gets more competitive on the market because they have new applications, they have new procedures, they also have safe environment. And luckily, all the security vulnerabilities and holes were patched, so everybody feels better, and it's all good. And my last slide comes from a movie that I think everybody can relate to. Very often working on such IT audit brings a longer relationship between the law firm or legal department and the auditor. And it's very fortunate because you get to work with that person, and perhaps you want to work further with them. And I usually think about it as in the famous Casablanca movie, that it may be a beginning of a beautiful friendship, working together between IT specialists and lawyers. So that's theory. That's like the summary that I promised you. And perhaps we can see if there are any questions at this time. If not, I'll go on to the details. But if there are, I'll be happy to answer them.
I guess people desire to listen more details and your examples. Probably then some questions will appear and it will stir some interest additionally.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I expected that. So, like I said, the second part may be more interesting for you because it's the meat. This is the excerpts, parts of actual IT audit report. It's not whole, and it was translated from Polish because it was in Polish. And also any software names and company names and all that, we are living in the GDPR world. It was all removed, so don't worry. And if you ask me about the law firm, I will not tell you. But I think those examples, although they relate to a different law firm, it was a small Warsaw law firm, pretty well known at the moment. But those details, when you look at the screen, and I talk about much more than will be on the screen, I think it can help you relate. Perhaps you will see similar situations, similar systems that you use, and yeah, like Americans say, perhaps it will help drive it home. So this is the table of contents from an IT audit report that was very big and very long. And I want to share, like I said, share some details. So these are some of the notes that the two auditors, including me, wrote. So it was an office in the center of Warsaw, and access to the office with key and PIN code can be easily exploited. So that was the first observation. So like I said, although this is an IT audit, they also look at physical security, which is important as well. I mean, we use electronic systems for that, but they, they have to be secured. So it's noted here too. Also, a point about video surveillance system you may get intruders into your office, and it's good that it has enough disk capacity so it can store, I don't know, 1 month, 2 months of videos to see who actually entered, or perhaps somebody moved some paper files from your office, and then you have a full documentation. Yes, it is important. And the last point on the screen is lack of documentation. What I referred to earlier, lack of brief descriptions of operations and processes. I was referring earlier to onboarding of new employees. And perhaps I should add that offboarding is just as important. Very often there is a rogue employee, somebody who did some trouble, a young lawyer who walked out with firm documents. So you need to have procedures in place. What do you do in such an instance? Not to panic, not to run to the IT manager and ask, what are we doing? Those plans to offboard a person, whether it's a bad employee or somebody that's just leaving to join another law firm or legal department. You need to have specific point-to-point instructions. What do you do? I mean, if you don't, there is panic, and there are hasty moves, and it's not a good situation. It involves many people. Whereas if you have procedures, they just are done by 1 or 2 people according to them. So you need to sit. So an IT person should sit down with a managing partner or director of administration and write them down. What should be done when you offboard a person, when a person leaves your law firm or your legal department. Another point, this was, like I said, at that time, it was a small law firm. It grew now. They had the mini server. So many people now do not have a server room because everything is stored in the cloud. Although most law firms still have some kind of a cabinet or even the whole room. And with that law firm, they had a mini server. They hosted some applications there, and it was like in the corridor. It was put on top of the cupboard, and it just, it wasn't right. So that was noted. All technical gear should be put in a server room or a server cabinet that's properly cooled, air conditioned, and physical access to it should be restricted with a lock or an here, which you might find interesting. Another mini server was just a computer, plain computer. It was not a machine designed for continuous operation like a server. So a server does not have to be a big machine, but it should be a type that can run 24/7 for years and years and years. So, couple points. Perhaps obvious, perhaps not. Okay, this one is important. Lack of unification of login identities with Active Directory. So the big law firms, they have it all organized. Marek, who's listening, he's probably rolling his eyes saying, yeah, I've done it years ago. Correct. But perhaps smaller law firms, they do not have it. They do not enter every new employee in the Active Directory, and etc., etc. Then in this law firm, there was it wasn't good because well, now Office Microsoft 365 is the standard that all users are set up in it. It's run. But in this small law firm, they had some single Microsoft Office accounts, some M365 accounts, and it was a mixture. It was a mess. I mean, an IT person could not manage it well. They could not deploy policies. They could not deploy applications, etc., etc. The next point is a bit more technical, but we have technical people here. So not all computers were running BitLocker to encrypt these contents. So while it may sound, I hope we have lawyers also, not non-technical people today with us. So it may sound very technical, but it's very important. All computers should have their disks encrypted with BitLocker. So that's that. And then there is more lack of security copy of the state of a new server system and ID, Active Directory. And then something which I referred to earlier, the password length that was required at that law firm at the time was 7 characters. As Marek and many people know, it's not enough. At that time, the suggestion was to increase it to 9. Now it's even more. And it's not only the password length, it's also complexity, like I mentioned at the beginning, upper, lower, meaning small letters, big letters, numbers, special characters. And setting password policy is a subject for another webinar, which I'm happy to. So password length and complexity, that's something really worth remembering. Next point is something which is tied to that. At that law firm, there was a very long time, 12 months, in which passwords for domain administrators had to be changed. So AD domain administrators are usually AT managers or people working for them who have access to the crucial things. And 12 months is just crazy. I mean, the good standards that I remembered, people with such high security access were required to change it every 4 weeks or even every 2 weeks. And you may roll your eyes, say, oh no, new password every 2 or 4 weeks. There's no compromise for security. So yes. Then there was such suggestion to upgrade AD environment. It's a technical detail. Okay, so those were the notes. And now we go to, again, the very meat of the report, which is the recommendations. And as you remember, there were 3 types of recommendations: critical, important, and suggested. So Americans call it differently: priority 0, priority 1, priority 2. So critical is the red flag, the things that raise the red flag with the auditors. So of course, enabling encryption of disk contents with BitLocker, the TPM module, etc., etc. So that was the main suggestion. And yeah, like I said, IT people on this call understand it very well. In case of the server storing confidential law firm data, usually they are, the data on the disk should also be encrypted, and physical access to the server only by authorized people. So that goes back to the situation with the mini server in that law firm, where it was just sitting in a room where all employees and guests had access to. So if you're running still some servers and you don't have everything in the secure cloud, that cabinet, because very often it's just a cabinet and sometimes it's a small room, it should be secured. And access to it should be granted only to authorized people, meaning IT people. I mean, it's either a key or even better, it's an access card. Because then if you run into problems, that the server room is also used for keeping hardware. So if you have a access card system, then you can trace. Oh, we last seen them on Friday and it's Monday, so you check the log for who entered this room. So this is very important. Okay, the next suggestion is to use encrypted USB sticks or floppy drives, however you want to call them. This is very important, and luckily, in the past years, I've seen law firms of all sizes introduce this policy, or at least be aware, because there are 2 sides: convenience and security. If you want to be convenient, you do not introduce most of it, because lawyers say, I don't have time. I'm running for a client meeting and I have to take the files on a USB drive. why should I devote 3 minutes to encrypt it? Well, not 3 minutes, but yes, you should. So many law firms started introducing this, and this is very important. Then there are suggestions to change Active Directory security policy and the passwords that I mentioned. So the suggestions here are to change them much more often and much more complex. So that's that. Okay, this is important, and this is important especially for people who manage or work in smaller law offices. In case of this small developing Warsaw law firm, they had outsourced IT support, and it was one person, just one person. And I asked the question that they were surprised with, but it's a very obvious question. I say, what about if Mr. So and so goes for holidays? Or if he gets sick, who is replacing them? And there wasn't a clear answer to that. They say, well, yeah, he has a friend and he sometimes does things for him. So, we told them, well, that may be a reality, but it's not good enough. You should have written procedures. You should have agreements. If it's just one person, there should be an agreement between him and his colleague in writing that guarantees there should be NDA with the second IT person, and the law firm should be assured that he can replace and work instead of the main person who goes on holiday or gets sick. Very important. Some law firms, some small ones, we are only 8 people. We don't require much IT support. Why should we pay a little more that we have some possible backup? Yes, you should. The next point I mentioned, I think already twice, mentioning this again, develop full technical documentation of your IT systems and applications. And here it says in case of unavailability of care. So, if there's a problem with IT support, there are hundreds of reasons for this. You really should have that. You should do that. Yes, it will take you time, but you do it one time. And then when your systems change, you just update it. So these are written procedures. And you have to maintain this documentation, well, electronically, you may print it out, whatever, and update it regularly when there are changes. Then there is a suggestion to improve monitoring of the main entrance to the law firm, regularly change the PIN code to the front door, etc., etc. And then, and again, well, it's good to repeat things that are important. So here we are repeating the offboarding procedure that I mentioned. Develop a procedure or a simple form to confirm the proper termination of a law firm employee. List of things and actions to be taken. Blocking the office access, deleting or disabling the AD account, etc., etc. I mean, especially if it's a rogue employee, a bad employee, that something happened, they should be terminated. They should be terminated, but the documents created by that person remain in the law firm system. Okay, so those were all critical things to be done for that law firm. Now we are getting on to the next level, which are important. So these important ones need to be done according to auditors within the next 6 months. Suggestions here were to change the firewall and VPN systems to the company's solution. So firewall at that company was old. I will not mention names, but it was old and outdated. Yes, it worked, but during modern times, you have to have a good firewall that will be able to protect you against hackers. VPN, something very important. Before COVID, it was less important, although good law firms used it. So VPN is a system that you use to get to the office from outside, from your home, from hotel, from aeroplane, internet from the train, wherever, hotel. Some are better, some are worse. The best ones are those that are maintenance free and that you don't have to initiate it. Whenever you have your computers, your law firm computer should be set up that way for lawyers. Whenever you have a internet connection, the VPN automatically kicks in when you're outside of the office, hotel, travel, home, and then you have access to all applications. So I do not want to mention any names, but there are some. I think IT people are aware. So that Warsaw law firm had to change, and they actually, luckily, they did. Then there are two interesting points, and I actually speak about that a lot. They did not have a law firm management system, meaning they used paper. They use Excel, they use paper to manage their clients' cases, time recording. So I hope most law firms use a time recording system to, like it's like a calendar. Attorneys enter their time, talking to client, preparing an agreement, and that is the basis of invoicing and charging the client. So law firm management system, it's usually called PMS, practice management system, and there are plenty. In each country, there are plenty of such systems, and soon in May, with Valentin, we will have a great conference on which I'll also talk about a different subject. But there will be stands of several PMS providers, so companies who produce such systems, and there are lots of them. You can pick and choose. Each law firm, even a small one, should have that, and that was our suggestion for that law firm. They did everything on paper, and that's insane. There's another point that's of a lesser degree, but might be interested for lawyers. They didn't have an effective document comparison system. So, just two sentences. Microsoft Word has a compare feature, right? That you can compare documents. So many people say, "Oh, yeah, I'll use that." Sure, yes, but when you are a lawyer and you create stock exchange prospecti and complex documents that have graphics tables, the Word feature will not compare those documents. And clients, they want to see version 1 against 2, version 25 against 26. They do it all the time, especially with certain legal practices. Thus, our suggestion, and that law firm had several departments, and our suggestion was to get one of those systems. Don't ask me which ones there are. I mean, you can offline, but there are many more and more of those systems, and they are fairly inexpensive. Okay, so those were examples of important ones, and then there are suggested recommendations, which are, well, we could say less important, but still, I think they might be interesting to you. And we say they should be done within 12 to 8 months if they want. Unification of computers. So at that law firms, almost every computer was different. Different brand, different kind. Some had TPN modules. This is a module needed for, I will not bore you with explanation. Yeah, it supports BitLocker, but it also, if you have TPM2, you can have Windows. We were not telling them to spend a lot of money and throw away all of the computers, but these computers were not new. So we were saying, look, maybe towards the end of the year, your computers are getting old. If you decide to buy new ones, try to buy the same model or similar models, one brand, be it HP, Lenovo, or Dell. Choose your brand. I mean, we can also suggest, but all of them are good. And try to stick to one brand and similar models. Why? It's much easier to manage them on IT side. It saves effort, money, and effort. Another suggestion was to run a real-time backup systems for users' computers. So you may say, oh yeah, we back up our client files. This is not client files. Client files, backing up of client files would be in critical suggestion. This is backing up your my documents. So, everybody has my documents, and although you should not save client documents, there are many people do. And then there is a, ransomware attack or your hard drive breaks. If you are running a system that in real time backs up your My Documents and desktop, for instance, and maybe other locations, then any computer loss or hard drive failure is not affecting you. You're just replacing a computer, and all this data is kept in a secure location. So it's an excellent suggestion, and perhaps it should be in the important part, not in the suggested part. Okay, so these were the three critical, important, and suggested, and these are the final conclusions on the IT audit report. So we said that we rate the overall state of IT environment as satisfactory, but this is a translation. It was like, when you grade at school, this was at grade 3, which is a pretty low one. We did not want to offend the managing partner, who got a little offended anyway, but then was happy. The state wasn't that great. And it's a dilemma of an auditor, how diplomatic to be and how realistic to be. The report showed everything that needed to be corrected. And then we said, yeah, it's up to the owner to choose the path of development of their IT structure. But I will tell you the good news, the very good news. I'm still working with that law firm, and they implemented most of those suggestions. They did hesitate, and they took time because they simply didn't have some core security systems. And finally they decided to do that and invest, and they've been very happy since then. They, to the best of my knowledge, and I would have known because I work with them, they did not have a ransomware attack. They did not have any other things. I mean, there are many efforts because they are doing like M&A deals and other important ones that are, confidential, and so far they've been okay. And that was my last slide. I will ask you to ask questions. I will be more than happy to answer them. Just before that, please note my email address at the last slide. I'll leave it up. Please email me if you have any question about what you saw and how it relates to your law firm, your legal department. I'll take time to answer. I'll take time to jump on the Teams call with you or a Zoom call and to talk about it for free. I'm really interested in your cases, and if I can help in any way, I'll be happy to.
Thank you, Zbyszek. And we definitely have a few questions. Raivis asks, will you send the presentation itself after the session?
Whether I can send this presentation?
Yes, the slides.
Sure. But Valentin, correct me if I'm wrong, this will be saved and available in YouTube, right?
Yes, of course. We are recording this webinar, and it will be available for sure, both on LinkedIn and YouTube.
Yeah,
but I guess Raivis wants the slides themselves. So
sure.
if you can do it, then please send me a Drive link, for example, and I will share it with the audience after the session.
Yes, I'm happy to share it, and I'll send you the actual presentation, and it can be sent to anybody who wants.
Yes. And the second question, also from Raivis, what is the conference you mentioned in May, and when the DMS stands will be present? You can answer yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. So the conference is at the end of May. in beautiful Tallinn, in beautiful Estonia. And yes, the conference last year was absolutely fantastic and great, and I will be having a workshop. So my workshop this year will be about DMS, which is the document management system, systems that I was also touching on this presentation. So the document management system is a system where you store your documents and emails now. So, you know, when you have your Word open and you're a lawyer and you hit save, you know, you don't have a dialog box for your C drive, but for a system like Net Documents, iManage, and there is a whole host of other ones. I will talk in detail about it in Tallinn in May, and I hope to see all of you there.
Definitely. And let me ask some questions as well. What do you suggest to use in a law firm? Intranet, for example, with a local server, or for example, an external one, or cloud?
That's a very good question, and it's a general question. So
It's an endless question, actually. I saw many law firms in the Baltics that are using only laptops, sometimes without any intranet or cloud. I saw law firms with intranet only with local server that can be stolen easily from the office. And I saw also those who are using cloud. So what would you suggest actually to use from security perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question, Valentin. So yeah, the buzzword for the past decade was the cloud, the cloud. You know, I mean, so it was like AI in the past 2 or 3 years. You know, you open your fridge and AI jumps out at you. You know, you open your car door, AI. So before AI, it was the cloud, and many people were probably rolling their eyes and tired of it. But
Yeah, we were
actually,
scared. How,
yeah, yeah, and
how come? How can we store documents, confidential documents, somewhere in the cloud?
how can we trust Microsoft or Amazon or Google? That was a great question. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
we
question
still
to be
don't. We still don't.
Yes, yes, because in the old days, each law firm had a server room, and there were local servers, like you were referring to, you know, intranet and local servers that could be stolen. And yeah, I remember, you know, I will never forget, you know, my boss, who was an entrepreneur at the law firm that I worked for. He says, "What makes you think you can secure it better than Google, Amazon, or Microsoft? You know, are you so cocky to think that you can do a better job?" That was a direct. Bear it in mind, it is coming from me, who started managing IT in the 90s when there were only local systems and we had it in one room, configured, backed up, you know, perfected. And we thought that's the best solution forever. No, it's not. You know, all applications are kept in the cloud now, and some providers still provide like DMS solutions that are on premise. Or perhaps it is forced by regulations. Perhaps it's a military facility or a government facility, and they say, no, 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 no. Well, you know, I had a use case. I will not say the name of organization. It's a huge Polish organization, but it's state-owned and it's subject to regulations, and they needed a DMS. And I brought them a proposal, you know, you can use this, that DMS in the cloud. And they said, no, 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 we are heavily regulated. We are owned by the state of Poland. But after demos and showing them certificates and security, they backed down. They said, you're right, we can use the cloud. So that was a revolution. That was a big change in the mindset. But at the moment, um, almost no one is offering on-prem solutions. There are a few firms that do, but usually they are much more expensive, and I do not know any more people who thinks it's a better solution. So yes, only the cloud. Have a local infrastructure in your office, a very good firewall, very good internet connection with a backup internet connection, and then use commonly available cloud solutions for your PMS, for your DMS, for your CRM, and any other needs.
Yeah, I can only agree. Thank you, Zbigniew. I guess there are no questions left. Thank you very much for this priceless information. We are looking to meet you in person in May at Future Law 2025. Thank you, the audience. You were great, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.